This is ABC15 Mornings.
Another major step toward reopening Arizona. Restaurants are getting ready to welcome customers back into their dining rooms.
And we're in weekend 2 of the coronavirus testing blitz, but Arizona is still falling behind in testing rates, how we compare to other states.
A family back together just in time for Mother's Day. This is a touching story this morning that is going to give hope to others and show that there is light at the end of this pandemic. So we're going to lift you up on this Mother's Day morning, and we hope that all moms out there are starting their day off with a smile. We say Happy Mother's to you. Happy Mother's Day to you. I'm Nohelani Graff.
And I'm Mark Thompson, social distancing from home this morning, and I want to give a shout out to my mom, who is often watching online from Indianapolis. So if you are watching this morning, Mom, Happy Mother's Day. I'll call you later.
Hey, Mom.
Oh, no, hey, I guess we had some rain. Exactly. I guess we had some rain. I slept through it. I didn't see it, but I guess other people, they definitely had a few drops hit, huh?
So up in your area, you wouldn't have seen any rain, but maybe you would have seen some lightning strikes off in the distance. So the way that this storm is moving right now, it's focusing on the southern portion of the valley. So if you were up and at 'em early this morning with us, you did likely see some lightning strikes, and even now you might be seeing some pockets of rain. In fact, we see that a portion of this storm system and that lightning is moving across the southern portion of the valley up I-10 and heading toward the new Loop 202 South Mountain Freeway. So you can see Lone Butte Ranch area is likely seeing some lightning strikes right now and some pockets of rain. Ahwatukee, you could get just an occasional brief shower out of this one as well. Out in the West Valley along the I-10 and the US 60, Glendale, you could start seeing some isolated storm pockets as well. So if you see anything out there, we encourage you, send us your video and your photos of this storm to share at abc15.com. You'll also notice you can tell where this storm is tracking because of the winds out there right now. Some solid gusts around 5 miles an hour. We saw stronger ones earlier this morning, and you see that big looming storm cloud looking out toward downtown Phoenix and South Mountain right now. Temperature right now 84 degrees, 31% humidity, and that dew point is at 50 degrees with those breezes around 8 miles an hour. I'll have the rest of that Mother's Day forecast because I do not believe this is going to be a washout. This will be a short-lived system, so I'll help track it for you coming up in just a little bit.
All right, no, hey, thank you. Well, it's a big weekend here in Arizona, and we're preparing for a big week ahead. We're just one of dozens of states getting ready to loosen stay-at-home restrictions. Tomorrow, restaurants are able to open for dine-in service with social distancing guidelines in place, of course. Over the past 2 days, salons, barber shops, and some retail stores, they were able to open. The only things that are still closed right now are pools and gyms.
3 restaurants in Wickenburg, meantime, getting ahead of the governor's order to reopen, and they're actually getting in trouble for it. The Horseshoe Cafe, Lydia's La Canasta, and Bedoyan's Bakery and Bistro all receiving warnings after reopening fully on May 1st, so well ahead of the open that starts tomorrow. The owners and a lawyer representing them are pleading their case, though.
The governor moved the goalpost. He had said that the doors would be open on May 1st, and it didn't happen. At that point in time, he began, in our opinion, to violate the constitutional rights of these business owners to protect their businesses and their families.
I couldn't pay the bills around here, and I was doing the cooking and the dishwashing just to make it. I laid off my staff. I couldn't do it. In another 10 days, I'd have been closed up.
Now, Ramirez and his clients do say that they plan to fight back if they are prosecuted.
And one of the other things reopening this weekend, some shopping malls just in time for a warm Mother's Day weekend. Here's a list of what's open right now. Kirkland Commons and Scottsdale Quarter, as well as the Biltmore Fashion Park, and a few outlets, including Tanger Outlets near State Farm Stadium. Others are getting a little bit closer. Arizona Mills plans to open on May 16th. Meanwhile, Arrowhead Town Center, Paradise Valley Mall, and Scottsdale Fashion Square, they are sticking to curbside pickups or special appointments only. Outdoor malls like Desert Ridge Marketplace and Tempe Marketplace, they have some stores that have already reopened while others remained closed.
On the other hand, there are some Arizonans who are concerned about our state starting to reopen too soon, especially with the number of coronavirus cases. Nearly 11,000 people have tested positive for COVID-19 in Arizona, and that's with the 434 new cases that were reported over yesterday. And we do expect another update around 9 o'clock this morning. The state also reports 15 new deaths, bringing the total to 532 lives lost. Now, if you'd like to look at the data by zip code, we have broken it down for you. We have an interactive map up right now on ABC15.com. Now, despite increased testing, Arizona does still lag behind almost every state in the country. In fact, our partners at Newsy found that Arizona is among the 5 states with the lowest testing rates. Virginia has the lowest, 1.4%. The state doing the most testing, Rhode Island. Almost 8% of its population has been tested. New York and North Dakota have also ranked as some of the highest testing rates. A Stanford infectious disease professor actually says this highlights the need for a more coordinated national approach.
I would just say it would be really nice if we had a broad-based testing strategy for the whole country.
And experts and lawmakers do agree widespread testing is pivotal to safely lift restrictions. The White House does have testing guidelines, but it is up to each state, as you know, to determine their testing strategies. Meantime, we want to lift you up a little bit. A Chicago couple especially thankful to be able to celebrate Mother's Day after both mom and dad battled COVID-19, and that battle happened while they were expecting twins. Jesse Kirsch has more on this incredible story.
March, Natalie Gonzalez thought she had a bad flu, but like so many other Chicagoans, Gonzalez actually had COVID-19.
Body aches, really strong, fever. I mean, I just want to be laying down in bed.
She says her husband also tested positive. 2 sick parents trying to get healthy, looking after 3 children, all while Gonzalez pregnant with twins.
I was scared of my baby's not being okay.
At McNeil Hospital, Gonzalez's husband wasn't allowed in the delivery room. And after the birth, her twin boys quickly isolated from mom before she could even hold Eli and Ezekiel.
It was hard. Because, you know, you want to carry your baby is the first thing to do when you deliver.
Now, mom says the boys are healthy after extra time in the hospital. And while there won't be any big dinner out or a first visit to grandma,
Hello.
Gonzalez is thankful to have all of her children home together in time for Mother's Day.
That gives a lot of hope for other families. You could overcome this.
In Chicago, Jesse Kirsch, ABC7 Eyewitness News.
It is pretty amazing, just in time for Mother's Day, so that makes you feel good. All right, as you step out the door this morning, you might be noticing this ominous thundercloud out there, the storm cloud, I should say. You can see that there are pockets of sunshine, and that's why it's so cleanly defined there. This is the view from the Papago Park area, and so you can see just how dark those storm clouds are. And we are starting to see some rain in areas of the southern and western portions of the valley. So in fact, here's what you can expect as we move through the rest of the day. This is another view from our South Mountain camera, and you can see the rain streaks there that are coming down. So if you are seeing rain in your area, please, we invite you to email us, share@abc15.com. Send us your pictures and video. Now, these isolated storms are going to continue. I think that they'll start to taper off here this morning around 9 o'clock. And then we have another chance for isolated storms in the second half of the day, right around 3 o'clock. In the meantime, our temperatures are going to start trending down, albeit will still be about 5 to 10 degrees above the average. So Mother's Day, not a washout. If you had plans to make brunch for mom, go ahead and do it. And you still might even be able to bring it outside if you wait until about 10 o'clock this morning, when temperatures will still be in the 80s. We'll be in the 90s by 11 o'clock and noon, lunchtime, mid-90s at that. And then by 5 o'clock, when those storm chances return, we'll still be in the mid-90s, but in between, I do think we peak into the upper 90s. So I'll take a look at that high forecast for today and also track what's going on statewide because there are stronger storm chances up north. That's coming up in that full, most accurate forecast.
No, hey, thank you. Well, new this morning, students at Concordia Charter School in Mesa celebrating their teachers during Teacher Appreciation Week. Well, instead of handing out gifts during this school week like they would normally do, they made this video to show the staff how much their dedication means to everyone there. Well, coming up, a Good Samaritan. There was a Good Samaritan act in Tempe. It ended in the death of a 22-year-old. The father of that victim is speaking out. Next.
Also, Border Patrol agents in Yuma surprised to find $3,200 worth of illegal drugs attached to a drone. Where they think it came from after the break.
6:12 now on your Sunday morning. Breaking overnight, 3 people in Glendale displaced after their home went up in flames. It happened near 49th Avenue and Rose Lane. Officials told our crew on scene that only one apartment unit in that complex was damaged. No word on any injuries or a cause at this hour. And we've got new details this morning on a shooting after a hit-and-run accident this morning. The father of the victim is speaking out about the death of his son. Here's Adam Waltz.
He chased down the suspects of a hit-and-run accident only to pay for it with his life. Tonight I talked with the dad of the victim of this hit-and-run turned murder. A Good Samaritan act ending in the death of 22-year-old Joey DeLegge.
You hear about it occasionally, and it's always somebody else, and it's us now.
Tempe police say that after witnessing a hit-and-run accident, DeLegge chased after people who fled the suspect's car. He found them, pulled out a gun, and told them to wait until police arrived.
Joey's always helped people if these people knew that he just has good intentions in his mind.
Police say a 17-year-old involved in the crash arrived and shot DeLegge in the face. He later died. DeLegge's father said his son hated injustice and spent his own money to help people.
He just was an advocate for right and just helping people. He would buy people food all the time. He would spend every dollar he had on people.
That teen has been arrested and is being charged with second-degree murder, among other charges. Police tell me that the best thing to do in that situation is to only be a witness as best you can and try not to confront people and contact your local police or local authorities as quickly as possible. In Tempe, Adam Waltz, ABC 15, Arizona.
It's just such a heartbreaking and awful situation. Thanks, Adam. This morning, DPS troopers actually stopping a wrong-way driver along the I-10 overnight. Officials telling us that the car was damaged as it started to go the wrong way and that there's possibly a second crash that happened as well. But right now, they're still investigating and piecing it all together. One person was taken into custody, though, for suspected impairment.
Now to some other local headlines this morning. 2 Phoenix police officers hurt after responding to a trespassing call. It happened last night near 35th Avenue and Thunderbird. Officials say that 2 men were trespassing in a building behind a Circle K. The pair resisted arrest, according to police, injuring the officers. Both officers were not badly injured and they are expected to be okay. The suspects taken into custody on several charges. And in Yuma, Border Patrol agents recovering a downed drone containing 2 packages of meth. That drone found near San Luis, Arizona. The package is worth more than $3,200. Officials say that it looks like the drone had come from Mexico.
Let's talk about that most accurate forecast now. Did you catch any of the lightning first thing this morning? We actually do have some viewers who caught the lightning as it started overnight, late last night, out in the lake Lakeview area, or the lakeside area, I should say, as they were headed through the White Mountains and they saw this storm system that was over near Show Low. Boy, you can see some really clear lightning strikes there. And in fact, even here in the valley early this morning, we had lightning that paused air traffic at Sky Harbor for about an hour between 3 and 4 o'clock this morning. And even still, we're seeing some lightning out to the south this morning. So let me show you the live view right now over the valley. South Mountain camera, and you can see we have this dark storm cloud here overhead. We actually have seen a few raindrops on the camera here. And so we are seeing this big kind of storm pocket, but it's rather isolated right now. Our temperatures across the valley, we're in the 70s in the southeastern portion of the valley and the North Valley in the 70s. But right where this storm is stretching from about Ahwatukee through Levine, Goodyear, and Buckeye, all in the 80s at this time. And that's partly why we're seeing those lightning strikes as well. So here's that storm system. You can see it stretches from the central portion of the valley out west. So as we zoom in closer, we're seeing this is the Loop 202 South Mountain Freeway and Chandler Boulevard area. We should be getting some lightning strikes likely there. Also along Maricopa Road south of there, Ahwatukee, you could see just a kickoff from those showers. It's possible in portions of Ahwatukee. And this has started to move towards Baseline and Levine, where we already saw rain overnight. Also, we've got a pocket here along the US 60 in Glendale, so keep your eye out for that. And then another storm pocket moving out toward Litchfield Park and Goodyear along the I-10. Now, Futurecast is showing us this is part of that storm system, so it does look like it will work its way out of the valley here by about 9 o'clock this morning. Then through the middle of the afternoon around noon, we see another storm system start to bubble up out to our southeast. Areas like Tucson, Safford, up through Show Low. It'll build across the rim as we move through the middle of the afternoon. Right around 3 o'clock is our first chance, most likely, to see isolated storms return to the valley. Later this afternoon and between 3 and 5 o'clock is when we could continue to see that storm system pass over the eastern portion of the valley, more likely for the second round, as those storms sit over the high country through the evening hours. Temperatures in the meantime with that storm system going to stay in the low to mid 70s across the rim from Flagstaff on down through Show Low and up through Window Rock. Prescott looking to stay in the 70s as well. Payson warmer than that, though, in the upper 80s. Same with Sedona coming close to 90 degrees. We will top out at 99 degrees here in the valley, and we'll see very similar temperatures in the triple digits along the western border in Lake Havasu City and Yuma, topping out at 101, and the upper 90s in Casa Grande. So out in the East Valley, I think it'll be 99 in Mesa as well as Tempe and Ahwatukee. Paradise Valley and Fountain Hills looking to top out at 98 degrees. Same temperature for Queen Creek. Chandler, you might come close to that 100-degree mark today. We also are likely to still see triple digits out in Goodyear, Avondale, and Levine, but we'll be a little bit cooler than that in Surprise in the Deer Valley neighborhoods. Anthem topping out at 95 degrees today. So for that Mother's Day forecast, we'll be in the 80s through about 10 o'clock this morning, and then by 11 we warm into the 90s. That will be our driest time of the day, 11, noon, mid 90s, and then we warm into those upper 90s in the second half of the day when those storm chances move back in. Tomorrow, we stay in the upper 90s. By Tuesday, we're in the mid 90s with some breezes Monday and Tuesday, helping with that trend down in temperatures. And by Wednesday, we're down into the low 90s and lingering there through the middle of the week. So we'll look at the rest of the 7-day forecast and see how much longer the 90s will stick around, how long we can hold off those triple digits. That's coming up in that 7-day forecast on the other side of this break. As we start to see restrictions ease across the country, there is still concern over COVID-19 and a second wave. So here to talk about that this morning from the University of Phoenix, the College of Nursing Dean, Kathleen Winston. Thank you so much for joining us, Kathleen.
Thank you for having me.
So first, let's talk a little bit about the first round of reopenings, because we've already seen some retail. Next will be restaurants, and then by the middle of the month, likely everything else. So what do we need to be talking about and paying attention to with this first round of reopenings?
I think with the first round and then subsequently for following rounds, the most important thing is some hearing again the things that we've been hearing so far. Continue to be vigilant. You don't have to be hyper vigilant, but continue to be vigilant in those good health practices. Continue to be aware of your social distancing. Whenever possible, you'll want to make sure that you're continuing with that 6 feet apart. distance for individuals. Make sure you're maintaining those important personal hygiene practices that will make all the difference in reducing the spread of communicable diseases.
So some of it is going to come down to us, even though the statewide restriction might ease, we still, you're saying, should be maybe practicing some of that stuff on our own.
Absolutely. In fact, when this all first began, one of the messages that I really wanted to emphasize was the message of our personal responsibility in this, that the best way to limit and reduce the spread of any infection is by hand washing, and hand washing again. And only when hand washing is not available, then we might use hand sanitizer.
So let's look ahead. You talked about another wave potentially and another. So when we're looking at a second wave, what would that mean? What are the thoughts on that right now?
Right before some of this notification and experience of the coronavirus, we had a second wave of our seasonal flu. Last fall, we had the seasonal flu virus influenza A. And then in January, when we usually see a decline in seasonal flu, we started to see an uptick in that. And it was because we had the influenza B presented itself. So I think as we look at COVID-19, some version of that or some increase in that is a natural expectation. And again, how do we reduce and minimize the impact of it on us? We'll go right back to those personal practices.
I know one of the arguments that people have talked about is, well, the flu kills more people, but obviously coronavirus has killed people in a shorter amount of time. So we don't want to just brush off the possibility of a second wave. So what should we be looking for then? What would be signs that would indicate this is the second wave?
Well, I think, again, we're going to have better testing. So we're going to know about people who have built up some immunity. We're also going to have a little bit better diagnostic. We are already well prepared. So the experience that we've had to date was living a little bit more in the unknown because it was a new type of coronavirus. We worked from the coronaviruses as a group of viruses as part of the way to develop some additional knowledge about the COVID-19. And now we know a little bit more. So we take what we've learned and we use that information to help reduce the impact and maybe minimize the outcome of that second wave.
Would it be considered a second wave if we were to see a spike now, or are we talking about second waves mean a different season, say after the summer?
Sure. I think when you hear people commonly referring to the second wave, they're really talking about what are we going to be seeing in the fall, which is our typical flu season beginning, right? So how might COVID-19 be a part of that, or a version of the coronavirus be a part of that? Some spike that might happen that you'll hear the CDC talk a little bit about that comes with the reopening. That's a different conversation. The reopening is just simply we're getting back out into a more typical interaction with human beings. And again, I go back to whether we're talking about the reopening or whether we're talking about another episode of this virus. In all of those cases, our responsibility in personal hygiene, environmental hygiene, wiping things down, washing our hands, keeping social distance, and being intentional about where we go and when we go.
Dean Winston from the College of Nursing at the University of Phoenix, thank you so much for your time, your valuable insight, and I think the important reminders for all of us as we move forward.
Thank you.